Comic Book Club, full spoilers discussion of Action Comics 1000. Bendis' 2-page debut.
It was 8 pages.
Felt like 2 pages.
Basically, it's a bunch of Superman stories all in one comic with different artists and writers. Some good, some bad, some I skipped.
You skipped.
Some I skipped because I felt like it was cluttered. It just, for some reason, it didn't look visually pleasing, and it pissed me off, and I'm like, I don't want to read this.
Yeah. You know what I think they were doing? And I noticed, like, Louise Simonson wrote one, and Dan Jurgens. It's a lot of people that were connected to Superman from the past that they invited in, I think.
Yeah, Scott Snyder, Tom King.
I read Snyder, Tom King's, and Bendis.
More recent people, but I'm talking like Louise Simonson and Jurgens. That's sort of older, you know. So I think
Jurgens is the one I really liked.
You see, that's the one I didn't like at all, and it soured me.
That's the very first one, right?
Yes, it's the first one.
Well, I think it was more the artwork really got to me.
You just like Lois ripping her shirt open.
Yes, that's literally the only thing like in there.
I'm glad to report that for once I'm not the grumpy old dude. I actually enjoyed this book. I thought there was like maybe one boring one in here.
Well,
but
one boring one? Come on.
Superman.
I liked him. Yeah, I liked him. Look at that. That one was cool where he was jumping around through time, doing all the old school Superman stuff up to
I didn't mind that.
Yeah, I thought that Bendis's start, like, this is just a teaser, right? But
I
mean,
it was not good.
It was not good. And hold on a second. So I generally I don't like these platforms with the short stories anyway because it's so one-off and forgettable. Like, I'm not gonna remember this tomorrow. The stories were so short. Like, okay, so the Tom King one was rolling so nicely. I was like, all right, I'm totally digging it. And then I flipped the page, and it's over. I mean, it was just done. Like, there was all this wind-up, you know, and I just felt like I would have preferred fewer authors and longer stories.
Yeah.
I would too, but what are you
going
to
do?
A
bigger
it's
issue.
A one-issue thing. They threw in a bunch of different authors. I thought, you know, for Superman stories, like, normally when I read, like, the Superman New 52 stuff was terrible. At least in these, like, they went through the different eras of Superman and
they did,
and some different things. Like, I mean...
Right. And I figured they had to do that.
Yeah, I just feel like expectations, right? For being a collection of short stories to celebrate issue 1000, I didn't expect it to be any more. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I liked it.
I think
I have for 1,000 episodes, it should have been great.
Well, and also some of this has to do with Superman as a character.
Right.
I mean, he's just a yawner. I'm sorry, and but I will say this: the story that I liked, the 3 stories that I liked the most, the car with Jeff Johns and Richard Donner, actually from that directed the first Superman, helped to write that story. It was too short again, but probably my favorite of the bunch. And then the 5th season and Of Tomorrow, which is the Tom King story, I like the best. 5 Minutes and Action Land, the one with Mixtaplick, I don't even remember what happened in those stories. I mean, I don't know what happened. I read the Bendis story first.
Was his lady friend wanted him to get kinky, and he was just trying to get crazy writing Superman stories.
Right.
I thought that was great. What's not to like about that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying it was bad even. I'm saying I don't remember it at all. And yeah, that's the thing. I'm not, like, some of these weren't bad. I really had trouble being interested. But I started off with the Bendis story because maybe that left a bad taste in my mouth. First of all, I mean, I guess I was expecting more of a dive into the material with him.
I was too.
And that I didn't really get that much. I got some generic villain that he's fighting. The Jim Lee artwork, I'm sorry, I just did not take to that 90s sort of style. And like I was saying when we were filming, I was a big Jim Lee fan when I was like 14 years old.
I'm looking at it again. I don't mind the art.
I don't mind the art at all. I like the art.
In the Bendis story,
Yeah.
it feels like a very dated style of art, to be
Not
honest.
really.
It looks a little Liefeldish, and I'm shocked because Jim Lee used to be, to me, the best out of the Marvel and then Image crew.
This
But
is Jim Lee.
yeah, it is. I'm saying it feels like
Exact
it's
same
sort of
thing.
Liefeldish, but I don't know. I didn't take to it, but
Can
you
I
know.
talk about the Bendis story here? He does the thing like he has a new power, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like he yells stop and then he stops in midair and then he looks around like confused for a second and then moves on. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
A new superpower.
Yeah, totally. I did, and that. Okay, so
Yeah.
this goes back to the Grant Morrison take on it too. I prefer in Superman stories when we get to look into his powers and we get to break it down more, and we get to see the more alien aspect
Yeah.
of Superman.
too.
That's
Me
what I
too.
prefer.
Yeah.
They did it a little bit in here in the issue. There were a few times when he was measuring the heartbeat. I think he was reading somebody's,
He's
insides and
chasing that
stuff.
bullet.
Oh, yeah.
That too. Yeah.
That story was awesome too.
That was kind of
He's
cool.
doing the math while he's flying
Yes.
at super speed. Like
I'd like, yeah.
that was cool.
As far as like Bendis doing this, I'm a little worried now. I wasn't worried before. I was excited. Now I'm a little worried, to be honest. 6.2.
I hear what you're saying there, Dirk. I feel like this was something that they just said, clearly he's writing these 6 Man of Steel books, right? Like
Yes.
that's going to be
I'll
the
get
work
'em.
that we're going to look to see if he can do something cool with Superman or not. Like this
Yeah.
is just like one of those things where like when they wrote out the contract, they're like, okay, you have to put 8
Right.
pages into
No,
episode
totally.
into issue 1,000, right? Like
Yeah.
so I'm not worried, you know what I mean, because of that. Like I feel
And
like
also, for if anybody wants to read some other Bendis before the Man of Steel thing comes out, DC Nation Zero has 3 really good stories in it, and one of them is Bendis Superman. The other one is Joker's reaction to the Batman wedding, which is awesome. No, look, I'd probably, if I was Bendis and I had his writing skills and I was offered a position at DC, I would probably go for Superman 2 because that's the biggest challenge.
right.
Yeah, to make Superman interesting and like something, for me and you to get into, not just a kid.
Yep.
I think is like a really tall task and daunting as a writer, and you want that challenge. So I would do the same thing as him. I don't know if it's gonna work. I hope it does.
I agree.
Y'all
Yeah.
got scores?
What do you say, 6.2?
Yeah, 6.2.
I give it an 8.
6.7. 6.7.
That was a total 6.5.
Wow.
But I was like, I was in a rush reading it. Like, I should have read it earlier
Don't
this
make
week.
excuses. Just
Because I didn't even read all of it. I was like, damn, that's a lot of words, and I need to read this shit quick, and it's a big issue.
Well, you can amend your score
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Also,
Feel free.
I did I referenced this earlier, but if somebody wants to read a really good Superman story, read All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison. It's a fantastic, just perfect Superman story.
I'll try and put it in the show notes too, so you can just click to it.
Sweet.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, y'all.
Another one in the books.